All right, let's just get rolling because I'm excited to see Bea's work. Welcome everybody. There's some people who are turning into regulars at our show, which I'm very at our online exhibits, which I'm very happy to note. And our new, we do these roughly once a month, sometimes like 5 weeks. We've done several. We've done 3 or 4 already. You can see them all on our websites. If you happen to miss the live opening reception for any of our exhibits, we do record them and post them on our website. So if you can't join the fun live, you can always, you can always watch later at your convenience, just so you know. And you can check them all out at our website at www.aokarts.org /exhibitions. And you can, learn all about our organization there also. So welcome everybody. I'm going to talk for just 1 second because you didn't come here for me, obviously. I'm excited to be introducing Bea Varela tonight. She is a very talented young artist who has been part of the AOK family for a long time. She was a regular at Thursday night dinner when we were in DC for many, 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 many weeks, months, years. And she was my co-conspirator when we first had the art space in DC at the Independent Sector building. We had an art gallery and an art space with studios for artists. It was donated space by a friend of ours who ran an organization called Independent Sector. And Bea was, sort of the chief conspirator in terms of putting on our first group shows and helping with our first, sort of main lobby gallery exhibits. It was really wonderful. She was a joy to work with, talented, hardworking, and creative AF. And she was also one of our first resident artists here in Wellfleet. She stayed with us for several weeks oh, look, Amelia. Yay. She stayed with us for a few weeks in the summer of 2019 and took over our garage and turned it into a textile art exhibit extravaganza that was really provocative and thoughtful. And she used it then to do an exhibit in Florida, I believe. Right, Bea? Anyway, her work transcends many genres, and she's hard to tie down, but she brings her own idiosyncratic, authentic voice and character and spark to all the work she does, no matter what genre. So I'm very excited to introduce Bea Varela. I'm going to stop talking now and let Bea take it away. Go, Bea. Welcome. Yay.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, David. So hi everyone, like David said, my name is Bea. So I'm in my 3rd year. We're about to graduate in about a month and a half, something like that. I stopped counting. From the University of Arizona. I'm in the photo, video, and imaging department. And I also teach. So I have a little pack of undergrads that I work with. So that's been really exciting and a really good experience. And like David mentioned, I did the AOK residency in Wellfleet. It was awesome. And I think this is where, honestly, a lot of my work is inspired from my experience there. Especially the textile wall assemblages that I'll show you guys in a little bit. But yeah, that has been a super important part of my practice and development as an artist, was being in that space. So I just really want to thank you for giving me that opportunity. And I can't wait to go back to the East Coast. I've been trapped here in Arizona for like, I don't even know how long, Anna. Anna's also from DC, so she gets it. Yeah, so the first thing that we're going to do is just watch the video. It's my piece called Triathlon that I finished in quarantine last spring, that I did for a video class. It's a graduate video class. And we did an online exhibition with 6 other video artists in our class. And then every year, MoCA, the Museum of Contemporary Art, Tucson does a 5-minute film festival. And I applied with that video piece and I won first place, which was really awesome. And I think this video piece honestly was me kind of finally understanding my aesthetic as an artist. It took, it took a while to feel confident about the work I was making. And I think this kind of summarizes all the stuff that was important to me and that I learned in grad school in this piece. Obviously, thesis is going to be the second iteration, and I want to make it better, but we'll see, we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to put the link for the exhibition, for the AOK exhibition.
Okay, come on.
Anna.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking to Zeke.
Yeah, no.
He's like, let's go.
Okay. So I'll put
Yeah, I put the link into the general chat for everyone.
Oh.
But you're going to do a screen share, right?
Yeah, we can do the screen share, but the problem with the screen sharing is that the video might lag. So what might be helpful is if everyone clicks the link and watches the video kind of on their own computer, on their own internet. And then we can come back in about 5-6 minutes. It's 5 minutes and like 1 second or something like that. So everyone can just kind of watch it on their own, and then we can reconvene in 5 minutes. And you can leave your screens on. I like to see people's reactions to it, so it's up to you though. But yeah, just make sure that your audio is on mute so that we're not hearing the audio while we're trying to listen. So yeah.
I'm going to mute everyone. Just
okay. Okay, great.
If anybody has trouble watching the video on their own, just let me know and I'll help you out.
Kathy, can you help me?
Who needs help?
I do.
I'm sorry, I can't see who it is just because I'm on present.
Susan Galagas
Oh, Susan, okay. So are you working on your laptop?
on an iPad.
Okay, can you look at two screens at once?
What?
Can you view two screens at once?
No. So, okay, never mind.
Hey, Bea,
Yes.
it might not be a bad idea to just show it on your screen just in case, because some people can't watch two things at once. You want to try and see how it goes?
Yeah, just if you're listening to it on your own, just make sure that the Zoom volume is down.
Are you doing it from the OK website or from YouTube? You're on mute, Bea.
Sorry, I'm like struggling with this right now. Got cut off at the end. We all know the end of the song, so it's okay. Okay, great. I think some of you guys might have seen it on your end and then also replayed on the share screen, but that's okay. Oh, Amelia, do you want me to share? Okay, no, thanks. We got it. Okay, so that video initially started as me trying to understand my parents' immigration from Guatemala to the United States in the 80s. So it started there, me trying to literally physically mimic what I would think they would be doing, but obviously through the narrative of a triathlon. Yeah, it's just me trying to understand them and, you know, them crossing all the terrains and everything to get to Washington, D.C. But the way I make my videos is very experimental, and it's not a very clear narrative, which is kind of the point, is that the stories and immigration is never a clear story, and it never just has a beginning and an end. It goes on forever, and it's not very clear where you are at some points in that journey. So that is the reason why it's very done in a very chaotic and experimental fashion. And also the use of the green screen, especially that it pops through in some of the pieces, is that I want people to know that it is a performance and that part of it is fake. And to me, that's very simulating for me real life, that a lot of things are just really made up in our head, and they are very unclear. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started, is from a very personal perspective. But as the story developed and as my career as an artist has kind of developed, I realized that my little performances that I do alone in my studio actually are pointing out even more important things, especially the use of like the Dora dolls and everything like that. To me, I think I was really thinking about the children that kind of get swept up on all this mess, especially kids who are getting um, um, put in detention centers, separated from their parents, left all alone. All of that shit started kind of also flowing into my head. So it does start from a personal place, but it ends up being much bigger than that. And it's kind of my way of critiquing. But sometimes it uses humor. For me, humor is a way at pointing at things that are really painful and sad. So that's why there's maybe some humorous performances, but there's a reason for that. Yeah. So I don't know. That's all I have to say right now. But I guess I wanted to show kind of a little bit more of the other work that I'm also doing alongside this. So I'm going to share my screen and talk a little bit more about that as well. So let me just pull up. So this is a portfolio. So this is some of the work that I've been working on in the last year and a half-ish. But I think triathlon is kind of a culmination of all of this work. So these are some of the photographs that I took last summer in Cape Cod and in Martha's Vineyard when I went to visit Anna's family as well. And you'll see some of this imagery in the triathlon video. It's very vague, you might not be able to notice it, but the videos, a lot of the photographs and videos that are in that video, some of it happened in Cape Cod or on Martha's Vineyard, or traveling cross country from DC back to Arizona. I was also I've done that trip like 3 times with Anna at this point, traveling from Arizona to DC. So I think a lot of that trip also played into that video. But these are just some of the photographs that I've taken. I love using wide angle lenses. It's the camera lens that makes everything look really big and distorted. For me, it looks awkward and it's not technically the correct use of those cameras or the lenses, but I like it because it makes everything look really uncomfortable and a little bit weird, and it makes people's body parts look a little distorted. So I personally like using it. And it gives us a sense of space rather than it just being a portrait of a person that's also a portrait of the space. It makes everything look really big. So that's also really important. I think this is kind of the beginning of little performances. I was using kind of photography as a way to like dip my foot into performing in public spaces. That didn't go so well. I felt very uncomfortable doing it. Oh, here's one of Amelia. You're in this one. But a lot of these were me just trying to fit into the space that felt very almost like foreign to me. Loved it, but trying to carve out a space for me and for the people that I loved and enjoyed this time with. So here's another one. And then we took a pretty big shift from photographic work into more textile-based work. I still think it's sharing the same thing, but using a different material. So this is a cut-up fleece blanket that I thrifted. I don't know where at this point, and then a bathing suit that I also had. So just using whatever I have available to make my work is really important. So this is another one. And this one was also at MoCA, was exhibited at MoCA Tucson as well. Or no, it wasn't this one coming up here. And it's the same thing. It's like a very simple arrangement and organization of materials, but for me, it hits all of the points that I'm looking to hit, and it's constructed very simply, almost thrown up on the wall, kind of by accident, but it works out. I like everything to be simple. But yeah, I love cutting up things and then rearranging them in a way that it's maybe a little less obvious. But then I combined it also with photographs. So these right here are cut up photographs and shoes and pieces of leather and clothing that all come together on like kind of a collage way. And together it kind of looks like a mural, but like a dimensional mural. So we were also playing with this at the same time. And I did like a really big one at the AOK at the residency. It was like a whole room full of this, but this is kind of where I started. And this was all done in my studio. And then I was doing some dimensional sculptures, again, using found objects. This is when my studio was clean. Wow, it looks very different now. But yeah, so this is another one. And this one's hung from the ceiling. It's very heavy. And yeah, again, integrating photographs, objects, but this time I took it off the wall. And some of the, sorry, my computer is dying. Yeah, so a little bit more dimensional. And then last November, so 2 Novembers ago, wow, my sense of time is off. I got asked to do a solo exhibition at a gallery in Tampa, Florida. And they were kind of just like, do whatever you want. And I had already started doing the wall assemblages in Kathy and David's garage. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just continue this. So this was kind of the end product of that installation. Yeah, it was really hard. That was a very chaotic time of graduate school, was trying to put this all together. I tend to just jump in all the way, and I'm like, let's just figure it out and do it and like ship all the stuff to Florida and then go to Florida and hang it all up. My mom and dad actually both came down from DC to help me. So that was really fun, but stressful. And then I'm also doing it in like a more 2-dimensional digital form, taking photographs in the studio and then creating collages, digital collages, basically. But these were all just for fun. Like, I feel like I was like warming up in all this work now. Here's another one. Again, using found materials. These are, again, like little performances. This one, my favorite, I like this one because I named it Yoga at the Beach, even though definitely not yoga at the beach. But it was inspired by this time that we went to yoga at the beach with David and Kathy, and I was like, oh my God, what would my version of yoga at the beach in Cape Cod look like? And this is what I came up with. So a lot of my work is taking these experiences that I've had in places and then kind of recreating them in my own way, in my own studio. like, how would I act? How would I do things if no one else was watching there? If I didn't feel totally uncomfortable. So another one, a portrait with my older sister. And then this, I think, was like the combination of all of that, of taking the digital space, the real space, and then performances and smushing it all together. But all of these honestly feel like sketches now for the work that I'm making now, that is a combination of all of those things, and being a little bit more, giving my political opinions a little bit more directly at this point. Triathlon felt like I was still telling a story, giving my opinion, but from a personal perspective. And now I've kind of smashed open those doors, and I'm a little bit more direct about what I'm trying to say in the piece that I'm making for my thesis, which is titled Border Becky, or Becky to Explore. I'm still working with that. Not quite sure what the title is going to be. But that is about two characters, Kyle and Becky, and they are both doing, they're white students studying in a Southwest university doing site-based research at the US-Mexico border. And it's talking about the appropriation of Latinx and border culture and issues that is all kind of shaped by social media controversies, all things that we've been seeing on the news very intensely for like the last year and a half, and how that kind of shapes the way people think about advocacy and allyship. So I'm using Kyle and Becky, these semi-ignorant white people who are doing this advocacy work at the border, but kind of doing it all a little wrong and a little off. So it's very satirical, very intense in some parts. So it's a very fine line playing, especially if you're taking like a comical or comedic satirical route to talk about something that's really important, like immigration. Yeah, and it's interesting because I was also in a site-based research class that was studying the US-Mexico border. So I take inspiration directly from the situations that I find myself in, and that's exactly what I make work on. I'm not looking somewhere else. I'm literally taking it directly from my own life, which makes it a little bit easier, not easier, makes it more personal, I guess, because I'm directly involved in all the things that my characters are actually doing. And this time I amped it up by adding different perspectives. So buying like a GoPro, doing 360 cam images. And it's like a very large, confusing compilation of different perspectives. And I have a little clip. I don't want to show too much because it's like very much in the works right now. But I'll show a little bit of it so far, how it's looking. Okay, so let me just pull this up. Sharing my screen. Can you all see this? Okay, cool. Okay. Let me just fast forward it so we don't. Taking out of context, some of the pieces can look very wrong, so I just want to make sure to show you the right piece. Okay.
All right, everyone, this is Kyle Staffordshire, and today me and my girl are in downtown Nogales working on our advocacy channel / research project. As mentioned in my previous video, the border towns have had kind of a really hard time making money since the borders have been closed. So today, I've given my girl Becky my credit card so she can go spread some love and some cash to some of these businesses that are, starting to shut down. She's like super duper unfortunate, but thankfully we have a little bit of extra cash to share with everyone here. So follow along. Let's go.
swear in when we get our citizen American passports.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
you are part of
Yeah.
this country. You can't, nobody can take you away from this country, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
Even president, he have his work to unite, not to divide. And that's what we always in love with this country, because no matter who comes in, he gotta go out. You know?
Yeah. Okay. This part, I need to redo this part. This is a copy for my professors, but we can watch a little bit of it. Okay. Okay, so that's what I'm currently working on, and I am really struggling with trying to finish it because it's a lot of different stories all mashed up into one, and it has to be done correctly. If not, it could end up, yeah, it could just go south real quick. So I'm really struggling with this one, but hopefully we'll finish it. It has to be the right kind of humor, you know, it has to hit all the right notes. And editing really plays an important part of that. Audio, all of that is all needs to be done so that the point comes across clearly. So yeah, that's everything that I'm working on right now. Does anyone have any questions, comments, anything? I know that was a lot to take in.
I have a question. Bea, did you show triathlon to your parents?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah. I don't remember what they said. They're usually like, "Oh, that's nice," or they're probably like, "Well, why don't you work out anymore?" Is probably what they said.
It's such an intense sort of distillation of this incredibly intense experience through this very kind of like unique lens of your creative thing, you know.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting to think how, you know, the people who actually went through the experience would react to it.
You know, sometimes I don't understand what I'm doing, and I always want their approval on things. I always send them my work. I'm like, "What do you think about this?" Or my family, but I realized that they may not be the the best judges of my work because yeah, they're like, "Why don't you just make some like nice art?" And I'm like, because life isn't that nice, and if it was just all this beautiful stuff, it wouldn't tell the true story. So yeah, I think sometimes I wish I'd just make something a little bit more palatable, but I don't know how to do that. So yeah, I send them things, but I've kind of stopped because I think it confuses me more than anything. But yeah, so.
As long as everybody's confused, I think we're good.
Exactly. Well, they came with me to what's it called, to Tampa, Florida, and I didn't really tell them what the story was about. I let them kind of watch it be put up, and then they finally kind of gave their interpretations, and they were actually like spot on, and it was really interesting.
Hey, did you go see the Carne Reina?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't, but I should have. I know.
That's Alejandro Inarritu's virtual reality exhibit about Steph. Did you go see that? It was Alejandro Inarritu's filmmaker. He made this virtual reality exhibit. He acquired this church in DC and completely gutted it and turned it into this exhibit that only one person at a time could go through. Is incredibly intense. And it started and finished with in a room where there's a lot of found material that was actually found in the places where people cross over. and it reminded me of some of your work that uses the found work is really striking.
Yeah,
How kind of emotionally powerful that is.
Yeah, well, last semester when I was in that class,
Hey, are you frozen for everybody? Because you've been frozen for me for a little while. I'm curious.
oh, I'm frozen? Oh, no,
Yeah, is it just me?
I think so.
You're not frozen. She's moving. She's alive and
In no
well.
particular order. A couple things in no particular order, because I'm going to have to go. But number one, like, I'm just very, very impressed with your evolution since I last sort of checked in on you / your work.
Yeah.
I love your two-dimensional stuff. I think it's I'd like to see more of it. Are we frozen for everybody, or can you hear this?
No, we can hear
We can
you.
hear. Yeah.
We're all listening very intently.
Okay.
Okay.
Number two, your voice is a cheerful voice that you bring to an incredibly painful event in this triathlon movie. As a triathlete, I was confused until I heard where you were coming from, until I heard your story and take on it. Okay, so I didn't understand what you were doing, but once you started talking about it, it's like, holy shit. Okay, she's incredibly. I don't understand almost how you can be this cheerful about it. Number three, I think this in a great way. Number three, and to segue into this, I think this idea that you have of these two people down at the board with your voice would make it an incredible TV show. Number four, let's talk about tokens.
Talk about what?
Because I want to see
NFTs. How do you get paid?
I'm so sorry, but I did not hear you. The last thing, the question, how did you, I didn't.
NFTs, non-fungible tokens. People's just got $69 million for a piece of art and got paid in a day. So that needs to be a conversation in like the art world right now, like NFTs. Just say it.
To be a conversation in the art world.
His dick, he wasn't even there in the beginning.
I think someone's audio is on. Let me just see.
I'll add a little bit. So
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of graphic design, and of course Photoshop just came about in the last, like, it wasn't around when I started my career. We did everything putting layers on top of one another. And so what I'm so impressed with in your work is the layers, because I understand how hard it is to layer all of those different patterns and products and graphics. And it's really amazing the tension and also just the beauty that you get from that. And I'm seeing a lot of different places in different ways right now, in textiles and in advertising. And so I encourage you to keep that. You're getting like really technically great at it. And it's a skill that's really going to help you in this modern graphic world. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the layering part is like the most fun for me. I love doing it. And yeah, this next iteration of blankets and stuff is even more complicated. I don't have any photographs of the blankets that I'm making for this coming exhibition. So it'll have, the Border Becky video, but it'll also have about 8-9 blanket assemblages, like the one with the one that you guys saw in the portfolio that I showed you guys. So it's going to have about 8 or 9 of those. But this time I'm also integrating, I printed my images from Border Becky onto fleece blankets, and then I'm cutting them up and adding them with found blankets. So so that's like a whole new layer that we're working on that one. That one's really struggling with that one. So yeah, blankets. We like blankets.
And even when you cut out the video and you had the different video scenes all layered on top of one another, I thought, even from the boat to the like Washington Monument and the way that all of those pieces were kind of interconnected. Cool.
Thank you. I honestly was thinking of like theater sets when I did that. How they have the changing backdrops and everything and all the movable parts. That's really what I was thinking about. And how can I take kind of one-dimensional flat things and kind of do the same thing with it on a video screen. So
Well, it kind of reminded me of the immigration story, like on a train or on a truck, where people are coming to a new place and they're watching the world go by in a way that they've never seen it before. And I really like that notion of immigration, because people are seeing things differently, for like they may have never seen like a city like that before.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie. I really appreciate it. And once I get the whole exhibition finished, we're gonna do like 360 footage of the entire thesis exhibition. So once that's done, I can send it to everyone if they want to see
Nice.
the end result of all of this very soon.
Bea, I'd love to make the images that you shared in your portfolio a part of this exhibit, since you shared it with us in the opening. Do you think that would be possible, that maybe we could work with
Yeah, we can do that.
Stacy, our designer, to make that happen?
Yeah, of course.
Because I like to be able to look at them for longer than, because you kind of scrolled through them. I'd like to spend a little bit more time with them.
Yeah, of course. Totally.
Right. So everyone, stay tuned for that. We'll be adding to Bea's online exhibition in the next day or so.
I have a lot more coming.
Yeah. Good. Good. I want to see it.
Great. Does anyone have any other questions?
Becky, are you trying to ask a question? 'Cause you're still muted.
I'm on mute. Yeah, you should apply to Adult Swim. Well, hello.
Yeah, what is that? I feel like I know what you're talking about, but I'm not totally sure.
Oh, you don't know what Adult Swim is?
No, I'm
nope.
You guys don't know what Adult Swim is? Wow, Bea, I feel like you should definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, like I feel like you would be able to like really like book a gig there. It's very like Hirshhorn, but like after dark madness, art madness, and it's kind of like, but it's so deep at the same time. Because when you got to explaining it, when I was watching it, I was just kind of like, wow, it's crazy. Like just running around, like it's fun. But like your explanation behind it is just kind of like, it makes it like the satire is like, I can see like still sadness in the satire. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm kind of like, wow, she's completely changed the meaning. Like it's I don't know, it's really awesome. But yeah, I would love to see your print works too.
Okay.
Yeah, you're killing it.
I am working on it. I'm working on it.
What are you gonna do after graduation?
I don't know. I'm like, don't ask me that question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I literally can't think past like the next like 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I will let you know what happens, but I'll probably stay here in Arizona for at least another year. Yeah, I feel like in grad school, I didn't really get to actually experience all of Arizona. So I would like to spend a little bit more time doing that. And I got a grant for the Border Becky project that doesn't end until the end of the summer. So I'll have an extra bit of funds to continue working on the project after I graduate. So I mean, obviously for your thesis, it should be done, but I feel like I have more work to do on this project. Especially because it's not like it's a solo show, it's a group show. You do it with 7 of your other peers. So it's not like I'm going to get to show all of the work that I've done. So I'll probably just keep working on it. And I get to keep my studio until the end of the summer. So I'm going to just keep working, I guess. And I want to do prints of the blankets and see how that works too. So blankets probably.
My question is, what has been the experience of teaching students and how has that affected your work? And then who have been some teachers in your program that have helped shape the direction you're taking your art?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The teacher who has really helped me on this project has been David Taylor. I will show you guys. So he does work also on the border. Specifically, he's working on a project on the detention centers. So he's doing lots of drone imagery. So to capture how large these facilities are, and so people get an actual scale of how big this business basically is, and then also doing interviews with people who are being detained. So he's been helping me a lot with like the traveling, how to kind of navigate the very dangerous border life. And he's white, so it's a little bit easier with him. So he's just like, I'll go talk to them, babe, I got it, it's okay. And I'm like, okay, cool, you go take care of that, because I don't know how to deal with that. So just watching the way he navigates those situations and how different it is from the way that I am feeling has been really good to have him there with me. And his work, obviously. Let me just show you guys, David Taylor. So he's been really helpful for me as a mentor, and also as inspiration. Watching him work, he's kind of inspired a lot of the way that I'm filming the project, using drone imagery, the 360 imagery, all that surveillance kind of footage is really inspired by him in a critical but also very loving way, because I love him a lot. But we navigate space in our border projects in very different ways. So that's David Taylor. And then as a teacher, I encourage my students to just take risks a lot, to just do shit that's maybe a little crazy, a little weird, maybe a little bit too personal. I always kind of push them to take risks, even if it doesn't technically look correct or isn't the right way to take photos. I would rather them do things like that than play it safe. So I'm teaching my students to kind of make their own spaces rather than, you know, find a space to photograph. We had a project that was called Pick a Square, where you go and document a space. And I'm like, okay, let's see if we can make it up. Let's see if we can, you know, use some editing to kind of create our own idea of reality. So you can kind of look at my students' work and be like, oh, I think their GTA is Bea. And you can see that through all of our students' work. We're like, we can kind of, you know, also dealing with identity, I think is, if that's something that they want to do, I'm like, hell yeah, like do it, like, and be honest. And talk about the good, talk about the bad, talk about the ugly, talk about all of that. You don't need to glamorize anything. So I've kind of, you know, pushed my students to be more honest and to take risks in their work. That's what I want to see for them. So yeah.
You're kind of like a life coach.
You know, I don't know about that one. Thank you.
You're like teaching them how to take risks, how to live, how to be honest, you know, not just in their work, but like, I think it translates into like the rest of their life. So you're doing like really awesome work, you know? Yeah, it's deeper than you think, you know, you're doing awesome.
Thank you. I'm not the most organized teacher, I'll say, but I am fun, so.
Bea, I have a question.
Oh God, okay, yeah.
Okay, so as a non-artist, I'm in HR, so I'm very logical. So this is very hard for me to like understand. But what like time and resources go into these projects? Because again, from a non-artist eye, it looks simple, but like I'm assuming these type of things like take forever, and not just like time, but like also just like resources as well. Like what does that process look like for you? And what like career-wise, if that's a thing, like are you looking towards like after graduation
Abby
to like
said, how much
yourself?
Is it gonna cost me, and when are you gonna learn to take care of yourself? Is what she said. Just kidding. Okay, so for example, I mean, okay, well, I'm in school, so a lot of the resources I have at the studio. So I have the space, I have all of the equipment that I'm borrowing, and that's all, you know, thousands of dollars. And then you know, but for Border Becky, like the grant that I got is about $6,000, and that's basically covering the equipment. Photography equipment is very expensive, and I'm still borrowing half of it from the school. And then time, you know, that it's taken me an entire year to do the filming for Border Becky. Yeah, so you know, it takes about a year and $10,000. Like, I don't know, like that's just an estimate. And also, I think the other thing is I work very experimental. So half the time I come up with idea, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it. So I have to leave a lot of room for messing up, making mistakes, not knowing what I'm doing. So yeah, you know, even just having the 360 footage in there, that's like a whole new camera that I have to learn how to use. It was very expensive. So yeah, I mean, and the amount of footage that I work with, since I'm basically building like an archive of lots of footage coming from different places, it's a lot of footage to work with that I then have to reassemble. So that in itself costs a lot of money. A little thing that carries just all the information costs like $400. The editing computers, you have to work with really fast editing computers. So basically the kind of way that I work is not the most expensive. I would say actually mine is pretty low budge compared to some of the other work that the photographers and artists are doing here. Yeah, so I would say mine is I'm on the lower end. So I don't know.
Art is expensive.
Art is very expensive.
Who knew?
It's very expensive. And as far as careers, I could teach. I could apply for tenure track positions. I could apply for adjunct positions. I could work in nonprofits and arts nonprofits. I could, you know, we'll see. I'm not exactly sure. I think with the pandemic, I've kind of just been like, you know what? I'll take my time and figure it out. I'm not going to get in a rush right now because a lot of places are not hiring. Also, it takes a while to get a professor or teaching job in a place that you want to be. A lot of people just take teaching positions and then go somewhere where they're really unhappy and get paid like nothing. And that's not really my vibe. So we'll see. I'd rather apply for more grants because there are lots of grants. Like I applied for one, you know, for $8,000, but they have them, you know, to $20,000, $100,000. I'd rather spend more time working on my work and applying for grants than getting a job that barely pays me. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm open.
Lovely. Thank you.
I think maybe if there's one more question, then we're going to wrap this up. Anybody have one more?
It's like
Don't be shy. All right, then. Well, want to thank Bea for sharing her work with us. You did a great job, Bea. Thank you very much. Let's do a bit of applause for Bea. You can see her film Triathlon if you want to watch it again on the website. It bears viewing again, and we're going to get her photographs up as part of the show as quickly as we can. And let's remember our next show is Vicky, who's with us tonight. Carolyn, can you remind us of the date of that show?
Right now we're scheduled for Thursday, April 8th.
So mark your calendars because it's going to be great. So thanks again to Bea, and thanks again to all of you for joining us tonight, for taking time out of your week. We really appreciate it. If you want to learn more about AOK Arts, go to aokarts.org and you can find out everything there. And if not, if there's something else you want to know, just reach out to us and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. I hope you all stay safe. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Bea. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Varela,
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
This is my studio assistant. Thank you, Bea.
Love you, Bea.
Bye.